So, oh, so everywhere I go in Kenya, it's a lot of death, early death. It's a lot of disease, a lot of shida, a lot of problems. Enyamali. And the question is, has it always been like this? If it hasn't, what caused it? So, my observation on this one is everyone I've talked to in Kenya, or every different cultural group or ethnic group, when they talk about the days before colonialism, or the days where there were no, when they were still practicing culture, or even people who even today practice culture, what they all tell me is that through the culture people were not sick, and they were living quite healthy, or even very healthy and very long. So in every culture, longevity has collapsed. Really collapsed, and amount of sickness is just exploding. And it's all from malaria to typhoid to other stuff, but and new stuff, new chronic diseases like diabetes, like cancer, heart attack, and it wasn't there. Malaria was there, but they used to treat it with their herbs. Typhoid has always been there, but the herbs has cleared. And probably immunity. But I can't find any proof that diabetes was there. I can't find any proof that cancer was there, heart attack, or any other heart disease. There is something tricky, and there is a lot of change. So, yeah. So, and I will tell you an example of this. So, in El Chamus, I'm part of La Kashuma family, and my official dad is La Kashuma Senior, or El Paramuño, El Paramuy, El Paramuy. Yeah, but anyway, and I've been interviewing him, and he's been telling me quite amazing stuff. So he's between 97 to 100 years old, which is quite amazing. He has seen a lot, and is like one of the few who actually has maintained the culture, and is a very big, for him culture is everything. So he becomes a very good friend of mine. But anyway, when he was in my age, or maybe slightly above, there was when he was in my age, he was part of World War II. He was doing some warring and raiding to help the British guys, and at that point, culture was quite in World War II time. In the 1940s, beginning of 1940s, the whole of 1940s, culture, I would say, were extremely intact, or was completely intact. And he has experienced the whole change, because the age group below him, more things has been introduced. That the time he was a Moran, that was the time sugar was first introduced to the culture. It was the time tea was first introduced. After that, alcohol came. After that, okay, not alcohol, but the westernized alcohol. There's a traditional alcohol, and there's the new stuff. And he can say he has a lot of sadness in his eyes, and according to him, things has changed extremely. And when he was young, people were living long, very long. Some died, okay, some died just of conflict with other people, some died because of conflict with wild animals, and mostly that happened to a few in the Moranism stage when you're a warrior. But people who survived that, it was very, very strange to die. It was not common, as it is not really common here in Sweden to die, at least not until you're 50 or 55. But at that time it wasn't really up to 50, 55. It's it's above that. And he told me the age group that were living, and we calculated, because you can ask yourself, oh, how do you know they were old, and how do you know they didn't die, and how do you know how old they were? Oh, sorry for the sun. You can't. They haven't celebrated their birthday, but in the culture you join as men and as women. You join age groups, so you can see somehow how old you are and how old that age group are, because every age group is renewed after 12 years. It's exactly 12 years between the age groups. Especially that was the system at his time. And what you could say was the living age groups. There were actually 3 more age groups living at his time as Moranism than is living now. So he's 100 years old. And probably some people are older and some are a bit lower. But 3 age groups, that is 3 times 12 years, give it a take. It's 36 years. So some people, so when we did calculate, it came up to that number, somewhere between, we came up with that the oldest person living that time must have been around somewhere between 130 to 142 years. And he said people weren't dying. It was a taboo to die. If you died before you became old, you can't speak of his name. No, it's like that person is cursed or something. And if someone did die, it's like they called a meeting for the elders to gather and really talk and try to analyze and understand what is wrong with that family, what has happened, why did this person die. So people only died by age, and he's telling me the oldest person was in an age group, and there were 10 living age group at that time, so it must have been 130 142 years approximately, give or take. Let's say 130 to 140. So when did people die? And according to him, they became fewer in the first oldest age groups. So somewhere I would say from 90 to 100 years is normal when people died because of age. And before that, most people survived. And they were dying off of age. They can't really say why. Why some lived longer than others. The only thing he says is that it's God's will. It's up to God the day it would take you. Some are blessed with more years than others. But he can't really say why people are living. Because it's quite a big span of age. It's around 40 years. It's even more. It's almost 50. All right. So I'm seeing I'm getting tired when I'm walking, and I'm losing track. But what can we learn from this? Is his story true? Is he a liar? I really doubt that. Is his memory fading? His memory isn't really that bad. He's 100 years, but his head is quite sharp. And others are confirming his story. Everywhere else I go, there are people even still living, claim to be 110, 120, 130. And what is the what's the same with all of this? And what I can see is that they're still living in their culture. So people are dying, and it's because things are changing, and not everything is changing to the better. So they were living in a time, they have gone into a time, and they will go into another time. They've been living traditional, and now it's like a big confusion stage, because people are leaving the traditional system and going into the Western system, and they're not Westernized and they're not in the culture. But even when they become Westernized, they'll not live as long as they did traditionally. And even here in Sweden, probably we are not living as long as we did, and probably it's a lie. Probably it's a lie that we are actually increasing our age. A lot of my observation in Kenya says so. So unless all these people have the same fantasy and are complete liars when it comes to culture, there's something fucked up with the Western world. Something fucked up with the way we are living. If they didn't have cancer, diabetes, heart disease, even here in Sweden, we didn't have that before. There's something to learn from the past. And cultures and traditional systems is a resource. And I'm about to explore and teach you more about that. So, hope you learned something new. Give us a thumbs up, please subscribe. Talk to you next time.